Hey guys, hello and welcome to the new episode of Codement. So, in today's episode, we are going to see how we can deal with change detection strategy, and that is in Angular. Basically, how you can do optimization and how your components, starting from your parent component, that is app component, that is root level component, and then the different components that gets loaded in your application, and how many times it gets loaded. So let's start from the very basic app, and currently this is what hello world application. So this is app component. So I'm gonna create two new components. First is ng generate component, that is a parent component. So this will create the parent component, and also similarly I'm going to create another child component. So in that case, child component. So first we will have app component, which is a root component, and that is the base component of all the other components, and the parent component will come into that. And so here we have our parent component. Similarly, I'll create a child component. So this is what a child component is. So it will get created. As you can see here, this is my existing application. So this is parent component which I just created, and apart from that, child should be here. Cool. So now I'm just going to, this is what a child component looks like, and parent is like this. So I am going to use the selector, that is app parent, inside our root component, that is just below the hello world. So I'll just add a horizontal line, and now I have a parent. So here it should show me like parent works. Cool, perfect, parent works. And inside parent I'm going to add the child component. So here also I'm going to add a horizontal line, and here it is child component. Cool. So now it will show me parent child. Cool. So this is what a root component, and so I'm going to just test like how many times my components are getting loaded. So for that we have to just define a constructor here. So constructor will get called only once, and I'll just add here as root component loaded. Cool. And apart from that, I'll just add one more method, that is load. This would be my load method, and so here instead of this I'll just get rid of this. I'm just defining a load method, and I'm just calling it on my template. So this will show me like how many times it is loaded. Cool. So if I just inspect it, and I'll just make it horizontal. Cool. So root component loaded almost 4 times. Is it 4 times? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 times it is loaded. Cool. So if I just want to just define a number, so change detection count. Initially it is 0, and I'm just every time that component is loaded, so the count will get increased. So I'm just also I'm just mentioning the load count on the app itself. So I'll just print the variable. Cool. Hello component is loaded 5 times. So this expression change, this error is something else, which is related to Angular upgrade. So yeah. So here in this case, my root component is loaded 5 times, and apart from that I'll just follow the same things in my other components as well. I'll just have this constructor is not loaded needed, so I'll just copy these things into my parent component. Cool. And here in parent also, and before that also, I'll just copy the same thing in child component as well. And in the parent I'll just copy this template. Okay, so I'm just calling the load component from the parent scope on the template. So I'll just make sure that it is loaded. Here also I'm just loading it. Cool. So as you can see here, my root component is loaded 5 times, and then parent is 3 times, and child is also, it is loaded for 3 times. So I'm not sure why it is loading for so many times, and obviously it is not a good option. It is not a good optimization, like your application should not get loaded. So what we have done is we have just, in the app component, we have just defined a load function, and then this is a normal variable count, and this get increased whenever the template is loaded. So actually this is not a standard practice, it is not a best practice to call the function on the template, but in Angular we do not have any such function which determines how many times a component is loaded. It is like in case of React we have use effect, and in that we can identify that particular mode is loaded for how many times, but in Angular we have to rely on this, and this is how it is loaded. So it is not a good practice to just call this function, but now finally we are able to see that this is my root component, which is hello world. So I'll just name it as root component instead of hello world. So this is a root component, and inside root component we have a parent component, and inside parent component we have a child component. So this is what a root component, and then here we have our parent, and then here we have our child component. So this is the hierarchy. So so if I just want to minimize these rendering, if I just want to minimize this, so I have to opt for the on push strategy, and that is in the change detection. I'll just switch to change detection dot on push. So on push is basically it will optimize your change detection lifecycle, and basically it prevents the subtree optimization. Means if there is change in the parent, so only parent component will get loaded and its children will not get loaded unless children is not having any data change, right? So this is the difference. Like previously there is a default strategy. If you just switch back to default, so this is a default strategy, and even if you don't mention anything, so Angular uses the default strategy. So instead of default we are choosing on push, so we are opting for on push strategy. So in on push, basically it will not re-render all the components for any of the data change, like it will reduce the re-rendering as much as possible. So the first thing is it will render the app component or the parent component only if there is a data change in that parent component is happening, and it will not re-render all of its children component. So we will see that. So here in this case, as you can see, our component is loaded only once, and so in previous case if we are just opting for default, so in that case it will refresh, and now it is loading for 5 times, and that is also unnecessary. And these two components are in the hierarchy in the same tree, so that's why they are also getting re-rendered every time. So this is 3 times, and so that's not a fair option to go for, because every time if your application is reloading the same components every time, so obviously it is not the best solution, it is not the optimized solution, so it will take more time, and that's why your application can get slower. So this is what we can choose for on push. And so since on push is used, so it will not re-render the children components as well. So now on push also has a few of the things which has to be considered. So those things we will see in the next video very soon. So if you're new to the channel, so please consider it giving a like or subscribe to the channel, and never miss another update. Yeah, so I'll see you in the next episode very soon. Thank you.